notables.
All right.
All right. So, let's kick it off with Joe Holmes, friend of the program, ugly man Joe. Fun fighter. He's been in the UFC now for this is going to be his fourth fight. Last loss coming to June Young Park, the Iron Turtle, rear naked choke. Joe Holmes' opponent this week, Claudio Ribeiro. Not really a great jiu-jitsu game from him. This is going to be a stand-up fight, which I definitely think Joe Holmes is favored in. But friend of the program, always been cool to us on social media and everything. At plus 175, I like him in this stand-up matchup. Long guy, rangy. So I'm rolling with Joe Holmes at plus 175. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going with Joe Holmes. I think when you look at Claudio Ribeiro and you look at some of his more recent fights, you look at the fight most recently against Abdul Razak Al Hassan, where, these guys were trading back and forth. And, he does throw a little bit wild sometimes. And he got caught by a guy who can, knock you out. Now, Joe Holmes isn't a guy who's going to go out there and have a ton of this knockout power. He is very technical, and he's tries to be very precise and very quick with his strikes. He's very long, and he utilizes that well. Not everybody utilizes that well when they have a reach advantage. His reach advantage here is going to be about 3 inches, but like I said, he utilizes it well. When you look at Claudio Ribeiro and his last people that he fought, though, on the Contender Series, he got a knockout over Valenzuela. And again, that was another instance where, both guys are swinging, and Claudio Ribeiro was the guy who's going to have the better chin and the more power in that instance. I don't think, besides that, it's a lot of guys with a lot of questionable records and a lot of questionable experience that, like I said, are getting into firefights that aren't that technical and putting their chins on the line and not having good defense. I think Joe Holmes is going to have some very solid defense coming into this. I think he's not going to get into that firefight exchange that Claudio is going to try and entice him into. And I think over 3 rounds, he's going to land the better shots. And that's why I like him here as an underdog.
Yeah, I like to pick a lot. All right, what do you got next, Tom?
Next prelim pick for me is I'm going a little bit high on the card. I'm going with Chaos Williams, and he's taking on Rolando Bedoya. I watched a couple of Rolando Bedoya's fights outside of the UFC. Of course, this is going to be his UFC debut. We're not even a Contender Series or an Ultimate Fighter appearance needed here, which is ultimately, I think, just as a sidebar, kind of discredits the competition aspect of both of those shows. Some people can just make it in, for no reason, and then other people, they have to contend, they have to fight for it. It just seems a little silly, but you want to get in there however possible. So I guess, nevertheless, there doesn't need to be any rhyme or reason for it. Anyway, he's a guy who's coming in. He's been signed to the UFC, I think, for a little bit now. They've been looking to get a fight for him. I watched his fight with Pablo Dorda. I watched his fight with Mauricio Otolera, and he is a pretty solid fighter. He does show glimpses of times where he can be very precise, landing good jab, and is very intelligent with his striking as well. But oftentimes, especially early in the fight, he can get tagged. He can drop his hands when he's throwing combinations, and ultimately lead himself after going first, getting that that shot coming back, getting that counter punch coming back, and get stumbled. In both of these 2 most recent wins, he was stumbled early in the first round, somewhere around the midpoint. And I think if the shots that landed on him with those lesser fighters get landed on him by Chaos Williams, he absolutely goes to sleep. Chaos is going to be able to follow up, and for those reasons, I'm picking Chaos Williams. He's experienced in the UFC. He's fast, and he's this minus 300 isn't even a bad price for him. He's 29 years old, so he's still young. He's going to have the reach advantage here. He's going to have the size advantage. He's going to have the experience advantage. He's going to have the power advantage. This is one that's going to absolutely go to Chaos Williams, and I feel very strongly about that. I think he could probably be even a little bit more expensive, minus 350, minus 400, because I think up until this point, Chaos Williams has had a very solid chin as well. And like I said, Rolando Bedoya was knocking out guys in the second and the third round. He wasn't going in there one punch knocking him out. It was after an accumulation of damage in instances where he was taking shots as well too. So I think this is a perfect fight to put on Chaos Williams. I would even say Chaos Williams to get it done by knockout. I don't think that's far-fetched at all. So Chaos Williams by knockout, and I throw it in a parlay, make that a little bit sweeter for you.
Yeah, I definitely like that Chaos Williams pick a lot. He has serious power, speed, everything like that. And yeah, Bedoya, inexperienced, knocking out lower tier guys, everything he said totally on the nose. And 2023 has been a little bit weird with this trend, but overall, guys making their debut in the UFC don't typically fare super well. So yeah, I like Chaos Williams. I like the experience, the power, the speed, everything there with him. I just want to jump back one fight to Marina Rodriguez versus Vienna Jandaroba. And I'm rolling with Marina Mahina Rodriguez. Um, I like her a lot in this fight. I feel like she's the way better stand-up fighter, and she's got pretty good takedown defense. Vienna Jandaroba, she had a good winner last time around against Angela Hill, but I think Rodriguez is much more talented than Angela Hill. Angela Hill has a crazy amount of losses, by the way, to still be in the UFC. I feel like the aliens that talk to her grandparents. Famous
I was
story, by
hoping
the
you
way.
were going
If
to
you don't
mention
know it.
that.
Yeah. I feel like they probably like came down and spoke to Dana White, and they were like, "Yo, you got to keep this girl in the UFC." And what's Dana going to say to aliens? But I like Marina Rodriguez a lot here. Great stand-up game. She's been in some tight boxing matches, lots of strikes thrown, and I think that she can prevent takedowns from Vienna. And Vienna doesn't really have much for her on the feet. More than anything, I do like this fight to go the distance. I don't think that that's going to be very favorable with the odds. I think that's just a nice little chip for your parlay. But at minus 165 and the fight to go the distance, if you like both of those, I'm sure Marina Rodriguez is going to be, like if you take that bet, Marina to win by decision or by points, you'll probably be pretty profitable. What do you think, Tom? You like that pick?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think Marina Rodriguez is gonna knock out Vienna Jandiroba. She is kind of known for her chin and ability to take damage. Her two losses, Amanda Hebos by decision and Mackenzie Dern by decision. She can absorb, maybe notably, a lot of punishment, or at least maybe she shows it on her face. And she just kind of takes those punches and keeps walking forward. So I don't think Marina Rodriguez is going to go out there and finish her. And same thing, Vienna is not necessarily throwing a lot of power back. Both these women have decent jiu-jitsu and grappling, but I don't think it's going to be enough to overpower another woman to get a finish there either. So I think taking this fight by decision is probably pretty safe. And I think Marina Rodriguez is just a little bit better in each of those areas. So I think her by decision is probably a pretty fair bet.
Sweet. What do you got next?
Another fight that I want to talk about is, and everybody loves to talk about it, Drew Dober, Matt Frevola. Drew Dober has been in a lot of fun fights, back and forth fights. His chin is holding up as exactly how you think it would. Look at that thing. It is huge. He looks like a combination of Marvin Vettori and Buzz Lightyear. I think Drew Dober is a guy who, unless you have out of this world power, and then sometimes even if you do, you're not going to be able to put him away. And I don't think Matt Frevola is going to be able to put him away. He knocked out Otavinas Aitar a few months ago, which is really what kind of put him into a little bit more level of a prominence. Before that, knocked out 10-0 Genaro Valdez. He's got two losses, Terrence McKinney and Armand Sarukian. So definitely not bad there. The split decision win over Luis Pena. Not a bad record for Matt Frevola coming into this, but it's just not of the level of Drew Dober. I mean, he knocked out Terrence McKinney. Granted, Terrence McKinney landed some real good shots on him, but he was able to come back and ultimately finish Terrence McKinney in the first round. Rafael Alves hooked to the body, got him the victory there. And he's the guy who knocked out Bobby Green. Like, come on. So at the end of the day, I think Drew Dober is going to be, even if he doesn't have the same level of technique and speed on the feet that Matt Frevola does, which I'm not saying he doesn't. I think he's going to be the faster fighter. I think he's probably going to have more power here too. I think he's going to have better technique, and he's going to have a better chin. So for all of those reasons, I don't think this is going to end up on the ground. And even if it does, I think Drew Dober has pretty good grappling there as well. So every area that this fight could go to, I'm just seeing a win for Drew Dober. So I'm picking Drew Dober. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Matt Frevola. He's traditionally pretty durable. Like I said, he does have that knockout by Terrence McKinney that was, a little over, about a year and 9 months ago. So, maybe he doesn't get finished here, but, I would feel more confident just picking Drew Dober flat.
Yeah, I love Drew Dober in this fight. I'm really excited to see this one, at the Prudential Center. I hope nothing happens to this because I feel like this is going to be a sick fight live. Drew Dober, big time brawler when he needs to be. Like, he can just throw these heavy shots up close, like that finish of Terrence McKinney up against the cage. I like Drew Dober by knockout. The people at Tapology definitely agree. I just think he's got the ability to like catch people. He's accurate, but when he throws those those crazy hooks that he has, super powerful, super strong, and they land on the chin quite a bit. So I love Drew Dober in this fight, and I love him by knockout as well. What do you
Yeah.
got, Tom? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think the more I think about it, the more I think Drew Dober is gonna get this knockout. I mean, I panned down, you can see that people on Tapology are heavy on it, but I was just thinking about Drew Dober and the way he throws those hooks that you were mentioning, the way that I don't know if it's just his physique, his body type, having a grappling background, but the way he sits down on those hooks when he comes around is what really seems to be the power. He like sits down on his hooks, really turns his hip and his knee into it, and gets every bit of that like almost turtle shell like back and hips and glutes that he has, gets that in there, and like again, if he lands one or two of those on Matt Frevola, like it's hard to see him, withstanding those over a period of time. And honestly, Drew Dober doesn't have that bad of a gas tank either. So
No.
yeah, I'm thinking the knockout is probably the way to go now that I think
Yeah,
about
I
it
love
more.
the pick. Doesn't matter what round it happens, and it could be late, but I like Drew Dober by knockout. You got any more prelim locks? Because I'm good on mine.
The only other one I wanted to talk about a little bit here, and it's because he's an underdog. Braxton Smith, UFC newcomer here. I know we traditionally stay away from these guys, but they have been doing better in 2023. I've lost quite a few bets on those, betting against UFC newcomers. And this is the case where I'm interested because you have a 38-year-old Park reporter on a 2-fight losing streak, never really at the top of the division. His other 3 wins are coming against Josh Parisi and Chase Sherman and Alan Baudot. Not top level competition, basically the bottom of the barrel. Those are like the 3 you need to beat in order to remain inside of the UFC. 2 losses come until Jailton Almeida, which is forgivable, and Justin Tafa, who knocked him out just 2 months ago. So now you have Parker Porter coming in, who's traditionally not that technical, traditionally leaves himself open, can get into firefights, can get hit back, and now, has had his chin cracked at 38 years old just 2 months ago, coming in against a guy who's going to be in the UFC, who's going to be eager in front of that, what I know is going to be a rabid Newark, New Jersey crowd coming in there with heavy hands. Now, he doesn't have fought the best of competition, as you can see, 11-6, 2-0, 0-0, only 5-1 himself, but he's got all of these by knockouts. Look at the size of this guy. I'm going to pull him up for you. Absolutely shredded to the gills. I think this is a guy who's going to have a ton of power, and he does have power that if he exchanges in a firefight with Parker Porter, after getting knocked out 2 months ago, I just think 155 is a good price to pay on Braxton Smith, who I think this is a toss-up fight. It's basically who's going to land on who. We haven't seen Braxton Smith have, an issue, at least as of late, in terms of getting knocked out. His first fight was a loss to Chase Sherman all the way back in 2014. Not what you want to see, but obviously a huge gap between 2014 and 2022. He's had a good chin up until this point, and I don't see Parker Porter going to be the one who's going to go out there and start knocking people out after he's going to decisions with Chase Sherman and Josh Parisian and Alan Baudot. He lost to Chris Dawkins by knockout TKO. And last win was not inside the UFC, was by knockout. So I don't think Parker Porter is automatically going to find it. He's listed as the favorite here, so I'm going with Braxton Smith as the underdog to get it done by knockout.
Yeah, there's definitely some questionable stuff when it comes to Braxton Smith. I didn't watch all of his fights before this, but you look at his activity in the past year, it's crazy. He fought basically every month or every 2 months the entire year of 2022, and then he just had a fight back in March in peak fighting. All of them first round knockout. It's kind of weird. You never know how his gas tank is going to be, and he's such a huge guy. He's carrying around a lot of muscle, but he moves well. He throws head kicks, confuses guys. He switches things up really well, and just you could just tell just by looking at him. But he does have incredible power. It's a big guy. It's a big, scary guy. You wouldn't want to run into him, in a scary place. But yeah, I like to pick a lot. I'm definitely going to bet on Braxton Smith at plus 155. Those odds are too good not to maybe even by knockout too. First round knockout, Braxton Smith. We'll see. Parker Porter does have that UFC experience, but it doesn't really show sometimes. So I like that pick quite a bit. You got any other prelim notables, prelim locks?
No, that was all the prelim notables that I'm looking at in terms of betting on. There's a lot that I'm looking forward to watching live.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to pretty much all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just to go, it's exciting.
Super
But let's jump up to the main card.